what we got right here, guys. So we'll address what Mark's saying in just a second. I'm kind of curious what is hiding in here. As you guys can see, it's a little cloudy. What do we got? I am not sure. It could have just been something falling in. I think it was a frog. But let's go back to what Mark has to say. So, how would you guys, many of you out there have maybe not thought about what happens if power goes out for an extended period of time. Do you guys have backup power? Do you have a generator? So one of the things that we'll address a few things that I think are rather important to have. We'll sit here for a second. And I got decent cell coverage here. So we're going to sit here and we're going to talk about a few things for just a second. So things that I think are vitally important to have when it comes to preparedness that maybe are often overlooked by us that prepare on a regular basis is, one, you should have a way to prepare food. So that could be a propane stove, it could be a solar oven, it could be, a fire pit out back with all the material ready to go so that you can cook some stuff. The other thing is you should have the means to take the lids off your tin cans. So what a lot of people don't realize is you actually can take a rock and rub it across the top of the tin can. And it's a lot of work. Oh, it's a lot of work. But that seal around will actually break over time. And you can remove tin. You can remove the lid that way. If you don't want to do that, then just have yourself, one of those little can openers. They're very inexpensive. The ones you can carry on your wallet. They've got some Army code, which I forget, but I'll make sure I put it in the section below. Those are something that you should definitely consider. Next is most of us are tied to our cell phones. So how are you going to charge your cell phone? So one option is you always do have your car. But option two is getting one of those portable cell chargers. Is just get one of those like charge those battery backups that you can charge in the sun, and then you can charge your cell phones. The other cool thing you can do with those is there's other things that you can charge with those as well. And we'll go back to food prep in just a second. The other thing that you should think about is light. So candles are a really good option. So are flashlights. And you want to make sure you have ample amounts of those for what your needs are. Next is ways to stay warm. So maybe your power goes out and you don't have natural gas anymore. Or, maybe something happens. So blankets, coats. Know right where those are. Know what kind of blankets they know. Know how those are. Have a plan in place on what room you're going to spend most of the time in, and then you can keep that room a little bit warmer. And there are different tricks on keeping the room warm without having to put your life in jeopardy by putting a propane heater in there or something else. So there are absolutely ways to do things, and everybody's situation is going to be different. If you have really a whole lot of questions about this, you can hit me up and we can talk about each individual plan, and I'll give you guys some ideas. The next, so we've covered how to eat, which we will cover a little bit more in just a second. We've talked a little bit about how to charge your phone, and I know that sounds silly, but a lot of us keep a lot of important stuff on our phone. And your phone, one of the things that I suggest to people right now is, since most of our phones have little SD cards, you should put a lot of your favorite videos, a lot of your favorite manuals, things that you are afraid that you might lose. I would actually put those on SD cards and have those ready for your phone, so that at least if you do lose power for an extended period of time, you have tips and paper and such like that on your phone that you can quickly access to. So, if you don't know how to start a fire, maybe a video on how to start a fire. Maybe you don't know how to prepare a particular meal without a stove. Those are things that you should have on your phone. Like I have all my manuals to all of my cars here on my phone. So I just have a little, I bought one of the little SD cards, fits into my phone. I can access it anytime, and I also can take that SD card and use it wherever. But I specifically designed it for my phone because if it works for my phone, it'll work for other devices as well. So have that. The next would be water. Now, a lot of folks, they talk about the Berkey, and the Berkey is a great water filter, and I would suggest if you have the money, buy a Berkey. If you don't, there's a Life Straw. And if you don't like the Life Straw and you don't like the Berkey Sawyer mini water filter, those are the three best when it comes to purchasing a water filter. The Sawyer and the Life Straw are both inexpensive. They're both around $20. And it might sound silly to have, these type of things, but access to water sometimes can be scarce, but it is always going to rain. Well, it depends on where you live, but it's usually always going to rain. And rain is probably one of the best, easiest waters to filter. It's not gonna pick up the really hard, harsh chemicals. It's not gonna pick up a lot of the really heavy metals. I mean, there's exceptions to that, like, if everything's on fire around you, then it may not be the best to drink rainwater. But in general, rainwater is still gonna be a really good option. And a lot of us don't have access to quality groundwater that we know the source. So having one of those three water filters is just a really good, if for some reason you can't get any of those water filters, if you can't get a Berkey, if you can't get a Sawyer, if you can't get a Life Straw, then a Brita filter is an okay idea. And if for some reason you can't do either one of those, then on that fire that you're going to have outside, on that fire that you're preparing for, you can boil your water. So and Mark brings up the idea about the back of your toilet. That is a great place to have access to fresh water for a while. The other thing that I suggest, folks, is if, let's say, usually you have a little bit of a heads up of just before you're going to run out of water. If you do have a little bit of heads up, a really good idea is to fill up your bathtub and then try to put something over your bathtub so stuff can't get into your bathtub and contaminate it, and treat your bathtub as a well, and treat your bathtub as you never want anything that's contaminated to go into your bathtub to extract that water. And so having access to that is a way in the inner cities and in a suburban area to have yourself a water sink, and that you can always go back to and you can access it, and you just have it as your bathtub. Just make sure your bathtub's clean, and make sure that you don't contaminate it with anything else. And you usually can access enough water throughout the lines, and usually enough water during most crises to fill your bathtub up. But if you didn't get around to doing that, you come into a crisis and something like that, then you do have the back of your toilets. And usually the back of your toilets are fairly clean. And so you have some good water back there as well. So let's go back and talk a little bit about I just lightly crossed over the food prep and cooking your food. So a solar oven is great because it just uses the sun. Getting efficient at building yourself a little backyard fireplace. So you can build yourself a little fire pit in the back, and you should be able to cook food and such on that fire pit. There's also plenty of those little like portable camping stoves, and even just those simple portable camping burners. So, and then you've got a lot of us here in America. We have got grills. So grills are another really good options to make sure you have your propane with, or if you're not going to grill with propane, you're grilling with charcoal. Make sure that you've got enough charcoal to be able to run that grill for a while. Also, make sure you got enough propane tanks to run that grill for a while. And you can cook a lot of stuff on a grill. I have. When I lost power I think it was 2012, when I lost power during the Del Reed show, I didn't have power for 2 weeks. Me and Lisa learned how to make pizzas on the grill. Really pretty exciting. It's cool. She made some flatbreads. We pretty much figured out just about how to cook just almost everything. Soup took a little bit of a adventure to do, but you can cook a lot on a grill with soup. So there's a, and if you don't have a grill and you've thought about having a grill, you can find cheap grills on things like Marketplace, Craigslist, even Goodwills and such like that. And just having yourself a decent grill that the propane and the burners work well, it's a very, very inexpensive way to ensure that you have some type of way to prepare food in the future. If you can't do any of that, then I would suggest now start practicing, your fire building skills and make sure you can put a nice flat surface. Um, build a little rock wall, build a little rock thing. Maybe I'll do a video of that in the future. And then you put a little grill over top of it. A grill can be anything that the idea is you want it elevated. If this is the flame here, you want it elevated above the flame so the flame's not touching the food, because a lot of times the flame will sear the food and it'll have the perception of being cooked, but it won't actually cook it all the way through. So, and I'm making an assumption that you might not have access to, aluminum foil or things to wrap around your food. So we're just kind of like open grilling. So that's kind of the idea. And if, like Mark's saying there, if you have a grill from your cooker in your house, then you can use that. If you happen to be one of these people that uses the new electric stoves and you don't have anything metal, I've seen people using shopping carts. So if you get yourself a trolley and you set it over the fire, you can grill on that. There used to be a lot of other things that used to be able to grill on, but like the front radiator part of a car is not metal anymore. But you can find stuff. The idea is just get kind of netting. You theoretically can grill on a fence. It's just you're not going to be able to grill for very long on a fence, but it is an option that you can have. You can also just get cast iron. Everybody should own at least one piece of cast iron, a nice flat piece of cast iron. You should own one piece of flat cast iron because you can always use that to cook on a variety of stuff. And so that would actually be useful in the outdoor fire as well, as you build something to hold that, like even if you just use rocks and you hold the cast iron and then the heat touches the bottom of the cast iron, you can cook on the cast iron. So this is my challenge, another challenge all for all you guys out there. If you guys don't have a lot of, if you're just not a prep minded set person and you don't have a lot of space, go buy yourself a cast iron. Go to Goodwill, go to uh, go to Marketplace, find yourself one flat piece of cast iron, just as long as it's got a flat bottom, something you cook pancakes in. I mean, it can be rolled up on the side, but just a nice cast iron piece of cookware. So do that, and you've just ensured yourself a decent thing. Also have a lighter. Um, I just recently bought one of those electric arc lighters. I'm going to give a review on how well I think those work. Not sure yet. I have butane lighters. I've got matches. I've got a bunch of different stuff. You know, um, those quickie lighters that have a name. Zippo. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It's always good. Have a lighter. Never know you're going to need that, especially for your candles. But the thing is this might sound silly. You're sitting in your house on your computer right now, you know, in your den, in your bedroom, in your office, and you're thinking, why are we talking about lighters and fires and me owning cast iron? Because we don't know anymore. Like, and there's nothing scary about owning a piece of cast iron. So you never use it. Okay, you got a cool piece of cast iron sitting around. I'm only telling you to buy one piece. I'm not telling you to go out and buy, a complete set. Make sure you have a lighter. I don't know how many times, you know, I've wanted a lighter for a variety of different reasons at different times, and I've had to search for them. And this is me, who usually prepared for everything. So I've been making sure I've had more lighters this year. Candles. I have hangy candles because I love hangy candles. But let's say you're just not a candle person. Then, you can there's some very, very inexpensive LED lights. I mean, heck, if any of you've got Harbor Freights, get that Harbor Freight catalog and usually get a free flashlight if you buy anything. So, go to Harbor Freight and buy a thing of $1.99 zip ties, and and then you get a free flashlight. Worth it, you know. That flashlight, that little hanging flashlight might, you know, last a couple hours. Great. That's what you need it for. Well, that's good to know, Mark. I'll have to keep that. I do need to get in the habit. I do need to get in the habit of carrying a lighter with me more often. Uh, in college, I always had a lighter with me, but since I moved here to the country, I don't as much. I don't know why. I just stopped carrying a lighter with me. So we'll recap. So water, something to cook with, and you know something to charge your phone with. So I'm just going to do a quick recap for those that might have missed it, and it'll be a really quick recap and just also a good reminder. If the power goes out, you've got fresh water in the back of your toilet. You also have enough time to fill your bathtub all the way up. Treat that as a reservoir, as a water sink, and don't let that get contaminated in your water for a long period of time. If you don't have access to both of those, get yourself a water filter and filter rainwater first. Second, uh, put all of your important stuff that you need to know, all your manuals, all of the stuff that is important to you, like skills, books, stuff like that. Put them on a little SD card on your phone so that you have access to everything that you need. So maybe you read a repair manual, maybe you got a cookbook, maybe you have something that you're currently relying on the internet for. Put those on an SD card. Have that as backup so that you always have access to it. Get yourself a solar charger and use that to charge your phone. 2. 3. Some way to cook. That'd be a grill. If you don't own a grill, might be the time to go buy yourself a cheap grill on Marketplace or Craigslist or something like that. If you can't have access to that, I would go out soon and in your backyard build yourself um, a little rock grill where you can, elevate it about a foot or two off of the ground, and then you can put like that cast iron pan I told you guys to buy. Get a cast iron pan, put the cast iron pan over top of it. For some reason you don't have the cast iron pan, you can get a shopping cart or a trolley, lay it sideways over it, as long as you don't go to Target because they got the plastic ones. And then you can cook on that as well. And you cover those 3 bases, and life's going to be a little bit easier. Not going to be easy, it's just going to be a little bit easier. The other thing I was explaining to folks earlier is when it comes to preparing, right now, the challenge that I'm asking everyone out there in internet land that watch this is to think about it. If you could only go shopping one more time, and you had to shop for the next 5 months, what would you buy? And the idea is you're not buying things that you don't need. You're buying things that you want for the next 5 months, things that you'll be using, things that you use on a regular basis. So just keep that in mind. Since we're here on the autumn equinox, it's a time of reflection, planning, thinking of stuff in the future. And yeah. So does anybody have any direct questions? If you have any more direct questions maybe you don't want to ask on the stream, you're welcome to join the Discord. If Mark can do !Discord, you guys can have access to the Discord. You're welcome to get on our Discord. We talk about a variety of stuff, but you're welcome to get on the Discord and ask me direct questions. If you're not a Discord user, you can send me a personal email to xdrfirefly@gmail.com. You can send me a message there. Try to check that every day. Just be able to answer it for you. But you're welcome to ask here on the chat as well. Yeah, bundles of sticks are very useful for a lot of stuff, like fires. So, I mean, in burning witches, you can burn witches with bundles of fire, with bundles of sticks too. You can turn them into smudging sticks as well. So, very useful. So I hope everyone's having a good day. Things are pretty calm right now in the world, which is a good thing. So Yeah, I'm not sure you understand the use of sticks, but I mean, whatever floats your boat makes you happy. So, I mean, it's a good storage. It's a good place to store sticks, I guess, in case of an emergency. Let's continue on our walk. Head back down to the farm. Oh, very nice. I bet the uh, I bet the stick enema makes you a very fun person to be around. We'll spin this around. Not looking at me. Let's look at the awesome surroundings. So, well, I see some touch me nots here, guys. I don't think I've got a chance to explain to you guys touch me nots. So we'll jump on to the touch me not lesson today. So touch me nots, jewelweed is the other name for this plant. So if you're in North America, they're pretty easy to find everywhere. So we'll first look at the flowers. So here is the flowers. They're nice orange flowers. They kind of look like trumpets. But what's cool, let me see if I can show you here. So if you see, the reason they're called touch-me-nots is these things are full of seeds. If you touch them, you saw how they explode. So I'll do that again here. You touch this gently. And what that does is it shoots the seeds everywhere. But these seeds, let me find one that's full of seeds. Let's see. There's one seed right there on my hand. So these seeds, that's what the seeds look like. And if you eat them, they taste very much like walnuts. Nuts are really high in protein. The other great thing about this plant is everything about this plant is edible. So if you want to eat the leaves, you can eat the leaves. They're a little bitter, kind of like a spinach taste, but you can eat the leaves. You can eat the if you take the stalks here, you can break the stalks and you can crush up the stalks and you can also eat the stalks. This is also one of the very, very best plants. So you take a handful of leaves, just like this. You crush them up, as you can see what I'm doing. You crush them up until you get kind of like a green, you'll get this kind of like a green liquid type thing. I didn't get a whole lot here because I didn't crush it up enough. But if you take that kind of, this kind of green lubricant and you use that for poison ivy, it is absolutely spectacular for the poison ivy. It will help actually pull out the oils. And so touch me nots jewelweed, one of the best plants that you can have on your property. Normally, as you see here, it's growing here on the side of the mountain. But the reason it's growing here is because one of the cisterns is right there. So I have a water cistern right there. And so the water spills over. And so this is always wet. So you usually find touch me nots in very wet areas. Like if you peek down here, you'll see that when I walk through here, you can see how it's very muddy. And it's still very damp. So touch me nots, that's a place that you will find them at. And during this time of year is the best time to collect the seeds. Other great thing about the fall is there's a lot of great edible plants this time of year. So as we continue to walk down the original West Virginia Turnpike, it's also other really interesting historical things is this was what we're walking on right now was also during the Civil War. I have proof that